Hi everyone, it's Jaden with Refusing to be Mediocre. Today's video is all about how to use your dark times as fuel and motivation towards your success, and how to use it as your why for change. I think we can all relate to going through dark times, whether you're currently going through one or you've been through dark times or tough times in the past. We can all use those times as, of course, as lessons, but as, fuel to change or get out of that rock bottom. And it can be massively motivating. And I find sometimes looking back on how far I've come, I can find that hugely inspiring, and that can really help me to go further. And it's a good reminder of what I've already overcome and what actually I'm possible of overcoming. I did want to add though, if you are currently going through a rough patch, just remember that it doesn't last forever. I know it seems like that at the time, but you're in control of your destiny, and you're in control of how you perceive what you're going through. So I do believe that a lot of dark times are necessary for our growth. As much as I want to help people avoid them in a way, at the same time I think they can offer a lot of life lessons that we can then pass on our knowledge from them to other people. So as I said, I do use my dark times as fuel for my success, for reaching my goals and dreams. And not just because I don't want to experience those things again, but like I said, I do want to help people overcome the things I've overcome, if they're currently going through them, or like I said, to even prevent getting, to some of those rock bottoms that I've experienced in my own life. Not many people know how I got started on my self-development journey, so I thought I would share some of it today. It's been something that I've kind of put off for a while, as it's, it's quite a vulnerable story, and, sometimes it's hard to look back at, things I've been through, but I also thought that it would, one, offer some inspiration, and two, just prove that you can really hit some low rock bottoms and overcome them. So I thought just by sharing just a snippet of, how I got started on my journey would help other people. So well over 10 years ago now, I had to sofa surf for a good few months, as I had a huge falling out with my parents, and that left me with nowhere to live. So I was very lucky that I had friends and friends of friends that offered me a sofa to sleep on until I got put up in a youth hostel. So when I was eventually at the youth hostel, I suddenly had a whole bunch of time, and I literally knew one person in the county because I got moved counties from where I was originally living with my parents. I had zero money, I had nothing. So I had a whole bunch of time, no money, and no friends. So I decided to spend my time at the library. That was, a free resource. It was books. I've always enjoyed books. So I started hanging out there all the time. I was mostly reading fiction at the time. Big favourite was Harry Potter, but I decided to just walk down a different aisle. I was just seeing what else it was about, seeing if anything caught my eye. And a book, well, more of a small area in the corner of the library, caught my eye. It was literally the smallest section, and it was labelled self-development. I knew nothing on the topic, and to be honest, I actually didn't even fully understand what it was about. But I decided to go check it out, and a book caught my eye. It was a book called Live Your Dreams by Les Brown. Now at this point, I didn't even know who Tony Robbins was, let alone Les Brown, although he's obviously made quite a big name for himself now. But something told me to pick up that book. So I did. I shoved it in the middle of my pile of other fiction books among Harry Potter, and I remember I swiftly checked out like I had some sort of weird cult book, and I proceeded back to my hostel room, which, I'm not even kidding, was just big enough, and I mean just big enough for a single bed and a chest of drawers. And sometimes I think even to get in one of the drawers I had to kind of stand up back onto my bed to be able to fully get it open. That's how small my room was. Anyway, I actually read that book, I think maybe in 1 or 2 sittings. I remember I just couldn't put it down. It was like nothing I'd ever seen or heard before. And once I finished the book, I mean, I was totally mind blown. I hadn't been told any of this stuff by my parents. I hadn't heard it in school. I hadn't heard it, by my friends. I didn't own a computer or anything as a kid, so I hadn't experienced YouTube or blogs or anything like that. So other than what I was taught in school, that was all I knew. Anyway, this led me obviously down the self-development book journey, and I obviously came across Tony Robbins, who totally changed my life. I literally absorbed all of his stuff, and I even spent some time on the computers at the library just to research and learn a bit more. But I would say it was still, it was still a mild, it was still early days in my journey. And it wasn't really until I eventually started working again, it was only fast food, and I eventually got keys to my own flat. That was one of the best days of my life by that point. And I just remember sitting on the floor. I had nothing. When I moved into the flat, I mean it's the same flat I live in today, but when I moved into it, it had no carpet on the floor, it had no furniture. I literally had a few bags of clothes, and I just felt like the luckiest person ever. And I swore that I was never going to be in a situation that I didn't have my own bed to sleep in again. But I was still pretty poor, and I remember that I didn't have even enough money to buy a TV, so I decided to rent one with Hughes or something, where you paid a weekly amount, but I didn't keep up with the payments, and they offered a system where they attached a money box basically to the TV. So in order to watch the TV, you had to put in pound coins. I suppose that was motivation for you to pay off your debt and and pay the monthly amount. But I literally didn't even have pound coins to put in that box. I was that poor. And I remember if my friends wanted to come over and watch TV, I would be you need to bring a couple of quid, which was always super embarrassing. But luckily I had friends that were super supportive and understanding, and never judged me. So yeah, but anyway, I was not able to basically keep up the TV payments. So they took the TV, so I had no TV. A lot of my friends could afford to go away and stuff, and I couldn't. So again, I sort of was stuck with this spare time. So I got into self-development quite a bit. So I really dived deep on it, and it became an obsession really, because it was stuff that I'd never heard before, and it was literally changing my life. Each chapter was that powerful for me because it was such new content that, yeah, it was a new addiction in a way. But the kind of my circumstances, I suppose, really fueled my desire for more. I guess I also knew I was capable of a lot more than the circumstances I was currently in. I had always been driven since I was young. I had a strong work ethic. I just kind of got myself in a sticky situation, and I just remember the day I committed to really changing my life. I was going to change just my standards for myself and my expectations. I suppose for me, I had no other option. I had no TV. I certainly didn't own a PlayStation, and we didn't have things like TikTok, and I didn't have a computer, so I didn't have access to YouTube and things that kind of consumed my time then. We didn't have Netflix, and so for me, my back was up against the wall, and I had no other choice than to take action to change my life. So when people ask me, should I get rid of my PlayStation, or should I go into my kitchen and bin all my junk food, my answer is yes. But purely because I am kind of all or nothing kind of guy, but that was where I got the most results, when there wasn't another option. Now, obviously, I'm hoping that nobody watching this is in the situation that I was in. I hope that, you're not in the situation where your back is up against the wall, but it's a good place to be because you haven't got a choice. And when you haven't got the choice to eat crappy foods, they're not in your kitchen, how are you going to eat them other than if you actually physically go get them? But a lot of the times we can't really be bothered to do that, and most of the time we're just eating it because it's there and we're kind of bored and we don't, we're just trying to look for that dopamine hit or a comfort. If something like your PlayStation or your console is too tempting, or it's just taking up that time away from, you going to the gym or taking that seminar, if you can spend 60 quid on like the latest FIFA instead of spending that 60 quid on a couple of coaching sessions or an event where you'll meet like-minded people and learn something, then maybe you do need to get rid of it. For me, it worked. I mean, the choice wasn't given to me, but it worked, and I now, I do now own a console, and obviously I have a TV, and I've gone through the addictions of, because obviously I suddenly had them when I'd never had them before, but I just realised, like, it wasn't serving my greater good. Sit and ask yourself, like, what do you truly want, and is this habit or this kind of addiction serving you? So reframe it, like, reframe the addiction. Yes, it is a comfort, but is your comfort zone really that comfortable? That's kind of became a bit of a slogan in like my group of like-minded people. Like, how comfortable is your comfort zone? Really, it isn't that comfortable. But ask yourself, how bad is your circumstances right now? Could they be better? What area could be better? Get clear on what you want, and use whatever dark times or low points you might have or are going through in your life as fuel, and use it as inspiration as well. Don't just use like the darkness of it. Use it in the sense of what you've overcome. Use that bit as the inspiration to do more and have a strong sense of knowing that you probably, or you can, overcome anything that gets thrown your way. You can. And I know that deep down, and I think that's what gives me a lot of my confidence walking into the unknown now. It's like, I know that I can overcome anything that's in the unknown. But yeah, so that's it. I will leave the video there. I hope that sharing some of my story was helpful, and to be honest, that took a lot of my nerves to do so. It's not something I do a lot. So yeah, I appreciate you guys watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Thank you.